Hey, what's up, guys? Alright, so we got another Black Clover chapter out this week, and I'm actually really excited to talk about things that happen in this chapter, especially that ending, because this ending leads into this chapter, which is a hype setup chapter. Despite the fact that it was actually a really quick read, I think you can probably get through the chapter in about like maybe 5 to 8 minutes, which is actually a good thing, because when you have a quick read of a chapter like this, because of the fact that it wasn't too heavy on dialogue and the pace was moving very fast, this leads to you being able to easily go back and reread it that second and third time, because the first time you read a chapter, you're going to end up missing out on things, and you're going to end up seeing something in your second read through that you didn't notice in your first time, and the same thing with your third and your fourth and so on. So it's always good to go back and pick up on things or go back and read a chapter so you can go back and pick up on things that you didn't notice your first time reading it. Like, prime example right here, I didn't notice that in my first read through, I didn't notice that during which is a big attack when he basically started gathering energy from all the other elves, kind of doing his own version of the Spirit Bomb. I didn't realize that had also gotten energy taken out of him, which was kind of dumb of me not to notice. I mean, gets literally his own panel during that sequence, and the fact that I know that is right now currently half elf, it would make a lot of sense that he would end up giving up some of his energy to Lich during that attack. So it was kind of dumb that I didn't notice it the first time, but still, that second reading let me notice it. And what? Speaking of in this chapter, it was so cool to see the way was reacting to everyone's attacks and how he was like basically just overwhelmed by everything that was going on. Especially after watching, I want to say chapter what episode was it? Like not this week's episode of Black Clover, but the last week's episode of the anime when we got to see basically being he wasn't being cocky or anything, but he was very confident in his abilities when he was fighting against Real. So seeing that and then seeing this week's where he's just like so overwhelmed by how powerful Patry and Lich are. I mean not Patry, how overpowerful Lich and Lumiere were in this chapter or in the previous chapter. It was kind of nice seeing that side of him again, like reminding us that yeah he is very confident in his own abilities, but when he's in the presence of like real power, he kind of shuts up for a second. He's just kind of as shocked and as excited and as awestruck as Asta. It's just not as loud about it. And speaking of Asta, we actually open up the chapter right with him basically attacking the demon, kind of where the last chapter left off. But we get to see like kind of like a different angle at this time, and basically we see instead of his attack actually landing on the demon actually manages to stick him with his trident that he used to cut off Lumiere's arm. But what we end up finding out is that basically what we already knew is kind of, despite the fact that his trident was made out of that same kind of thing that's basically eating everything, it can't do anything against Asta, mostly because of his anti-magic. So the demon kind of has to retreat and rely on physical attacks against him, which just actually leads to like a really alright. So this scene that it leads to where we basically see Patry, Lich, and Lumiere all show up to protect Asta from that fight gave me major vibes and reminded me heavily of the scene where we get to see during especially because we just had it recently in the anime where we got to see basically Asta, Magna, and Luck rush the field in order to protect Finral from its brother for basically killing him off. It doesn't hit emotionally like that scene did, but the scene gave me the same kind of chills I got when I was reading that chapter, even when I was watching the episode a few weeks ago when that happened, because you also got to take into account the fact that Lich and Patry, even though Lich wasn't fully aware of himself yet, a few chapters ago, they were still the enemies. They were still the bad guys. So the fact that we get to see the two of them show up and actually help out against Asta, the main character. We get a quick comedy scene with Sekre right after she comes and basically reattaches Lumiere's arm, which basically is just leading to Asta thinking like, hey, you seem fucking familiar. You're cool, but you seem very familiar. Are you sure we haven't met somewhere before? And she kind of just plays it off. She obviously is not going to tell him exactly the fact that she's narrow. But we also get him. This is actually kind of cool because we actually get a lot from Sekre in this chapter. We actually get to see her like basically we get another flashback with her and the first Magic Emperor like early on in their like friendship. Like I want to say if we had to place it, I want to say it was literally right after the two of them met, because we still see the fact that she's still kind of down on herself about her magic, and Lumiere's kind of cheering her up. This scene comes right after the demon basically mocking her for using her magic the way she does, and basically she remembers the fact that Lumiere was the one who taught her that just because everyone else sees her magic as being useless because of the fact that it could only close and open things. He said, well, just because right now it's the only thing it can do doesn't mean it can develop more to become some kind of like amazing power. Like every magical power, no matter how dumb it seems, has some kind of hidden talent that you have to work hard to find. And once you find that, you will find your own value in your magic, no matter what kind of magic it is. And you know what? It's actually my favorite scene from the chapter, especially that flashback is my favorite moment of the chapter, because not only does it lead more into what happens later on in the chapter near the end of it, but also finally made me realize that Sekre reminds me a lot of early on Noelle from the beginning of the series. Because what we see from her in the beginning of the series, or at least from the beginning of her flashbacks, was that Sekre was very down on herself because she was always told that she had no talent, the fact that her magic was useless. Same thing was going on with Noelle in the beginning of the series. Her siblings, her family, everyone was always told her that she was useless because of the fact that she had poor mana control. And then we actually see that through basically encouragement from Asta, just like how Sekre got encouragement from Lumiere, she was able to develop into the character she is right now, being one of the strongest members of the Black Bulls. And you know what, the scene also made me realize exactly why Sekre was almost as attached to Noelle as she was Asta. Because I always just assumed that the fact that Nero was hanging out with Noelle as much is because of the fact that Noelle was pretty much always around Asta. But now I'm thinking that maybe it's because Sekre actually might have saw herself in Noelle. And she was kind of there to like watch over her development, see if she can actually learn to like trust herself and trust her magic the way Sekre was able to do it through the encouragement of Lumiere. Anyway, like I said earlier on in the video, Lich basically just has enough of the demon's bullshit and decides, alright, I'm just gonna use my strongest attack right now. And he puts his sword up in the air, kind of like how Goku uses a spirit bomb by putting his hands up in the air. And he basically calls upon all the elves inside the castle to give them kind of like borrowing their magic in order to attack the demon. And it's actually kind of cool because we actually get to see it goes through a whole bunch of like different scenes or like a whole bunch of different fights. Like we get to finally see what's going on with the Charmy and Lil fight, which we actually see that Charmy won that fight because Lil was knocked out on the ground. We see that the Noelle and Jack fight versus Fauna is still going on, which I'll be honest, I kind of forgot about that fight altogether. It's been so long since we checked back in with them that I kind of forgot that fight was even going on, despite how excited I was for it. But yeah, we get to check in with that. We get to see Mimosa and Nozel while they're escaping. Then we see this is when basically Lyre or Raya, lends his energy to Lich for that fight. And we get to see a few other people. We get to see Fugoyan. He's actually trying to escape the castle right now, being chased by the demons, kind of like tentacly magic thing that devours everything, carrying two elves on top of Salamander. So like I said, it was kind of cool to get to see, some of these other characters. But basically, he uses his sword version of the spirit bomb, attacks the demon, actually does obliterate him down to only his heart being left in a puddle of black. And just when Patrick starts to open up his dumb ass mouth and thinks, alright, we won, all we have to do is destroy the heart, a mouth appears on the heart, which creeped the fuck out of me. I don't know, I don't understand how this demon works. The fact that he can make a mouth on his fucking heart, it creeped the shit out of me. But anyway, he creates a mouth on his heart. And basically just says recover so he can start recovering his magic. And recovering his body, obviously. Now, what's really cool about this scene is the fact, and this is actually the very end of the chapter, but what's really cool about this scene is the fact that when we see Lich use that attack, we're supposed to think that he's actually going all out against the demon, that he's actually planning on using this attack to kill off the demon finally and end the battle right here. And when it doesn't work, we expect him to be freaking out, which everyone else is doing. Everyone else is freaking out because of the fact that despite how powerful that attack was, it didn't do the job. But when we get to actually see Lich, he is very calm and he's actually looking back at Asta. It's a very small panel, you might even miss it in your first read through. But he's looking back at Asta, and when Asta notices what's going on, he starts to realize, and this is, like I said, it comes back to what happened or the conversation that Lumiere had with Sekre in the flashback, that your power isn't exactly what you always think it is. There's always a hidden talent that you don't know about. And when Asta sees exactly what his previous sword that the Lich actually stolen back from him earlier on in the arc is capable of doing, to see the talent or the power that it had that he didn't realize it already did, he looks at the sword he's already carrying and he's like, maybe this has some kind of hidden talent that I'm not currently aware of yet, and maybe there's a power that I can still lock into in order to take out this demon. Okay, so the sword that Lich is using during the fight is actually the Demon Dweller sword. And it actually makes a lot of sense that it would have this kind of like overpowered ability. Because we already saw earlier on in the series when Asta was using it, that has the ability to absorb his friends' and allies' magical properties and turn it into an attack. The only thing that Lich did was show us that it could actually do that on a much grander scale. But here comes the problem. And the sword that Asta is using in this chapter and during this fight right now currently is the Demon Slayer sword, which we know his own second ability is the fact that it can deflect magical attacks from its opponents back at them. So this kind of leads to the question: what grander attack or what grander magical or ability could it have that we don't know about? Because I mean, if we're going off the same logic as the Demon Door Sword, the way Lich uses it in this chapter, that he just uses it on a bigger scale than Asta ever did. How can Asta use the deflection ability of the Demon Slayer Sword in a bigger way that would actually be useful in this fight? I honestly, at this moment, cannot think of a way that actually could be even more useful or even be turned into some kind of like overpowered attack. Now we're talking to the Demon Destroyer Sword. I can actually see how that could be useful for right now because of the fact that it has the ability to absorb and negate magical effects. He could just use, if he activated like a hidden power of that Demon Destroyer Sword, kind of the same way that Lich used the Demon Dweller Sword in this chapter, he could basically just kind of negate the effect of that black goo or that whatever slimy, like wormy, tentacly magic that the demon's using to eat up everybody and basically hold everyone else hostage. He could use it to basically just, from that spot, eradicate it throughout the entire castle and save everyone's lives. And that's why I call this chapter a setup chapter, and why I'm extremely excited to see what happens next week, because I don't know exactly what Tabata Yuki plans on doing with the Demon Slayer Sword, kind of like what kind of hidden ability or hidden attack that Asta's going to use next week, but I'm excited to see it. But that's pretty much it for the chapter, guys. That's pretty much it for the review. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I do want to quickly say before I sign out here that I'm supposed to be in the next few weeks. My work schedule is supposed to be changing, so I'm going to have Fridays off from now on. Now, if this actually does end up happening and going through, that means that I'm going to be basically taking Fridays and actually doing more videos. So basically on Friday mornings, I'm probably going to be putting out more review videos. Like I might start reviewing Boku no Hero Academia again. I might start reviewing One Piece. Something like that. And I'm also going to turn Fridays and basically into my record days, where I'm going to start recording more and more so I can have more videos throughout the week instead of just the same weekly videos, like one Black Clover video every week, and then, Attack on Titan chapter when it drops, have more videos out so I can help grow the channel. And if that's something you guys want to see, more videos, I even have an Attack on Titan video coming out before the chapter gets released. It's either coming out this weekend or sometime within the next week before the next chapter drops. But also have another video planned, like a video talking about Sekirei, a video talking about the First Magic Emperor, other videos outside of the two series I actually review, catching up with what's going on with Fairy Tail, catching up with what's going on with Eden Zero, talking about the anime that's coming up for the summer season, stuff like that. If there's stuff you were interested in talking about or seeing, let me know in the comment section down below. But that's pretty much it for the video, guys. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. If you did, drop me a like, subscribe to the channel. I greatly appreciate it. Comment down below for your thoughts and theories, and I'll catch you guys later. Peace.